Prasar Bharati, in collaboration with National Book Trust India, presents Story Lounge on All India Radio.
Contrary to popular perception, reading habits are not on the wane due to multiple sources of information emerging on digital platforms. Yet, book publishing is on a downslide. This ultimately affects people who are on the wrong side of the digital divide and cannot afford new gadgets. To support them, Prasar Bharati and National Book Trust have come together to promote books over the radio, which is an affordable medium in the context of our socio-economic milieu.
Music of the Hills, a thrilling story that introduces young readers to the concept of biopiracy and how it affects environment in East India. This is authored by Ranjita Biswas and narrated by Sudha Puri, a publication of National Book Trust India.
Hello children, I am Sudha Puri and I am going to narrate a story called Music of the Hills by Ranjita Biswas. It has been published by the NBT, that is the National Book Trust of India. There it was again. Jocelyn and June looked at each other. The notes of the piano floated down from the abandoned house. They shivered a little and quickened their steps as the air swished through the tall pine trees. It was uncharacteristic of the sisters, the J sisters as people called them, to get scared easily. They were always known to be quite daring. They used to go off on their own to climb the hills behind their house or fishing with the villagers in the mountain stream when they were not busy playing basketball or football. They were quite good at it and in fact had represented their school at many basketball and football tournaments. Kong Mary, who looked after their house, had told them one evening, her eyes round with excitement, "My father told me that a British soldier, Williamson Sahib, used to stay there long ago. He had fallen in love with Shillong when he was here during the Second World War and decided to stay on after the war got over. His wife came to join him from England. The Sahib used to play the piano very well. In the evening people heard him play and his wife singing with him. But sadly, his wife died in an accident. Williamson Sahib never returned to England. He still played the piano every evening. One summer, after 5 years or so after his wife's death, the windows of the cottage remained closed for 2 days. There was no piano notes coming out from the house either. The maid who worked in his house told the neighbors and they informed the police. The police broke into the door. They found him dead on his bed." "But what is it to do with the ghost?" the girls asked Kong Mary. She whispered dramatically, "After 1 week of Sahib's death, there was sound of piano heard one evening. Who could have played it? The house was locked. Williamson Sahib's ghost. Who else?" Jocelyn and June could not stop laughing at Kong's great ghost story. Brought up by Uncle Henry, the twins could not help being skeptical. He was their father's brother and a renowned geologist. He insisted on developing a scientific mind which questioned everything. If he knew that Kong Mary had told them ghost stories, he would have been very angry indeed. The twins had found a home with Dr. Henry after their parents passed away prematurely. He was in the hills searching for rare butterflies and orchids to document them. Who knows, they would disappear one day, the way we humans are destroying the environment, he would often exclaim. A bit eccentric, yes, but he was very fond of his nieces. Sometimes in summer, their uncle took them along too in the expeditions on weekends to places like Cherrapunji and Mauflang, where orchids grew abundantly. Kong Mary would then pack a picnic basket with sandwiches and cakes and a flask of tea. "We have some of the rarest specimens in Meghalaya. Do you know that? There are more than 300 species in the state alone," he would say proudly. As for the twins, one day as they were coming back from school, the moody Shillong weather had suddenly changed. It was so sunny a little while ago, but suddenly it turned dark. Heavy raindrops started falling suddenly. They ran to the nearest place to take shelter. It was the veranda of the haunted cottage. As Jocelyn and June waited for the rain to stop, suddenly notes from a piano seemed to float out from inside the house. They looked at each other, not liking to admit to each other that they were scared. Instead, by common consensus, they decided to step out of the veranda. They did not say anything to Kong Mary. If anything, she would have got more scared, and the gossip in the locality about the ghost being real and the twins, they wanted to avoid all this. And besides, if Uncle Harry, who was in Brazil nowadays, if he had heard this on his return, that they had spread a rumor, he would have been very upset. One day they decided to take the challenge of stepping into the veranda of the house deliberately, just to prove that the haunted house and all these stories were absolutely foolish. As they went near it, they heard somebody call out to them, "Shh, shh." They turned their eyes towards Williamson's cottage. Something moved beside the rose bush next to the house. They shivered. Then they saw a girl, perhaps a little younger to them, beckoning them. The twins hesitated. Then the girl beckoned to them again, more urgently now. The girl was obviously in distress. She was wearing a rather tattered floral print frock. Her cheeks were red like an apple, but fear lined her brown eyes. "I'm Hira," she said in broken Hindi. The twins didn't know how to respond. Why are you calling us? What are you doing near this haunted house?" Jocelyn asked her. "I live in this house," the girl said. "Alone?" asked Jocelyn. "No, with my uncle," the girl said. Her eyes clouded again. Then Hira did an unexpected thing. She caught hold of their hands and pleaded, "Please, please come behind the backyard. I will have to talk to you. If somebody sees us, we'll be in trouble." The sisters looked at each other and they saw that the backyard was neat and clean. Obviously, somebody had swept it. But before they could ask anything, Hira spoke, her voice urgent. "Listen, my uncle and his friend have gone down to Nongpo for business." "Why are you so afraid?" The twins were puzzled. "I am from a small village in Nepal." Hira's voice shook as if full of tears. "My parents are dead. We are very poor. We hardly used to have 2 meals a day. This uncle, some distant cousin of my father, has brought me here. I cook the meals and clean up the house for him. They never let me go out of the house. At first I didn't understand. From time to time, uncle and his friend, they go out, they come back with some creepers. I think they are orchids." "So what's wrong with bringing orchids home?" "That's the whole point. They have forbidden me to talk to anybody about it. They talk about things I don't understand. Airport, police. Also, they always enter the house from the back door. Whenever they see people near the cottage, they play music. Now they have taught me also to play it. They have threatened me that if I say anything to anybody, they are going to kill me." The sisters were stunned. What was the meaning of all this? "One thing I know very well. They are thieves. It has to do something with the orchids. I want to go home, at least to some other place," said Hira. "Please help me." But June was engrossed in another world. Orchids, orchids. Wasn't there something Uncle Henry was talking about? Biopiracy or something, some word like that. Something to do with rare flora and fauna being smuggled out to other countries. By now Hira was getting agitated. Please go, they might be coming any time. And try to help me. Please help me." The twins went back home. Uncle was there. He listened to the story. He got up after some time and made a call. They were right. He was calling Singh Uncle, a senior police officer and a family friend. Words like orchids, smuggler, Guwahati airport were mentioned quite a few times. After his conversation was over, Uncle Henry confided, "I think we are into something." On the third day, when they returned from school, the twins had a surprise waiting for them. "Hira!" She was sipping tea and biting into Kong's home-baked cookies. Uncle Harry and DIG Singh were there too, beaming. "You girls really did a great job." Hira was telling the truth. "We have been keeping a vigil on the house with plainclothes policemen. We saw these 2 men coming out of the house this afternoon with a bag. They tried to run away when we asked them to stop." Hira's uncle belonged to an international gang that operates in these areas. They smuggle out rare species of orchids and sell them at a very high price outside. The buyers can be anybody. And the music was played to scare away people. "And Hira, where will she go?" "At the moment she is with us. The police is trying to contact people in her own country." Great! Till then, the twins jumped in joy. So many stories to listen to from Hira. As for Hira, she looked absolutely happy and a calm girl as she smiled at them from the corner of the room.
You were listening to Story Lounge, produced by the World Service of All India Radio on behalf of Prasar Bharati in association with National Book Trust, India.
Story Launch comes to you every day, same time, same channel.